Hey, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the Jada Toys Street Fighter Fei Long figure. Did I say that weird? Sounds like I said that weird. Alright, so here is the Jada Toys Fei Long action figure. They first appeared in Super Street Fighter 2 in 1993. Their birth date is April 1969. Birthplace is Hong Kong, China, and their fighting style is Kung Fu and Hiten Ryu. Basically, a take on Bruce Lee's style. Occupation, action movie star, and stunt actor. And then another little interesting note is that Fei Long never actually uses nunchucks as a weapon or a special move. Apparently, he only used them in one of his win poses and in some artwork. I don't know if that's changed, but based on his Street Fighter 2 appearance, I believe that is the case. Well, now let's get him free from his pretty neat homage to an arcade cabinet plastic prison and see what we think about Fei Long. Fresh out the box, this figure looks and feels pretty good. Like, the sculpt is very nice. The head sculpt and the chest, and really just the whole sculpt in general, is just pretty fantastic. I'm really impressed with this. This is my first Jada Toys figure, and fresh out the box, I am thoroughly impressed. The pants feel a little funny. They kind of got a little bit of a corduroy kind of thing going on, like texture-wise, like little lines going through it, but they look amazing. And the feel isn't bad. It's nothing. It's not a bad feeling. It's just kind of different because it's kind of, those little lines are sculpted into it. But they look fantastic. The shading on the chest seems to be a little lighter than the rest of the upper body, but it also might just be my lighting, so take that for what you will. Also, the paint on the face looks good, but it's very bold and well done, but there's something slightly off-putting about it at times for me, but kind of sort of like at different angles, and it's not very consistent in my opinion, as far as like, well, in regards to like it being off-putting. My overall consensus is that it looks excellent, but there is still a little something. It might be that the shading is a little too dark, or it could be, well, I mean, I don't know. He's an actor. He might have makeup on. I would assume that a person with his complexion would probably have a slightly darker face than the rest of their torso, being that the rest of their torso is generally more concealed than their face. And so that could also be a reason why there's a little bit, very, very slight inconsistency with the shading, but it's so minor, and I'm just nitpicking here. But also I just like to think of a reason why it could be that way. But I also like the makeup idea. I'm going to go with that one. But again, these pants are great. I was not expecting to be focusing so much on his pants. The only thing that I noticed, though, again, fresh out the box, and I might get into this more later in the articulation part, but you have such a really good action figure from the head all the way down until you get to the feet. And then the feet feel kind of phoned in. Now, I'm not slighting the figure for that because, it's their feet. I mean, what are you going to do? But it's like, are these socks, or is that like his actual skin tone and he's just like super pale at the ankle and the foot, which, makes some sense, I guess. It just seems a little less detailed than the rest of the figure. It's still cohesive with the figure, but it's just, oh yeah, they just almost as if they just painted shoes on. But no, it's sculpt. There's a little bit of divide there from the foot and the actual shoe. But again, super minor nitpick. So Fei Long comes with 4 interchangeable hands, 2 interchangeable heads, and 1 flame effect piece to approximate his Cheyenne Keiaku / Rising Dragon leg jumping flame kick move, whatever you want to call it.
All right, so now let's talk about the articulation you're going to get out of Fei Long. So starting at the head, you got 360 at the neck. There is a joint in the head as well as in the neck, so you get a little bit of, quite a bit of motion there. So that's legit. At the arms, you get the shoulders, you get the butterfly joints there, so that's always really cool. And I think they make it look pretty good, especially for being a bare-chested character. The shoulders, you have 360 at the shoulder as well as at the bicep. You have double jointed elbows, and then you have a plug-in hand, but that also has a joint there that a hinge, I should say, and so you can get some movement there as well. The chest area is super tight on mine, but I do believe you could get 360, but I'm just not willing to risk it. But you do get a little bit of movement there, and side to side, front to back. It's just super tight, like just on mine. Like, so I really don't want to break him, so I'm not going to really risk it. But there's that. You do have some articulation at the waist. But again, like mine is super tight that I'm almost scared it's going to break. So, your mileage may vary. His legs can do a little bit of a split, not much. I mean, it's not great, but they can go out pretty good, decent distance. And then you've got a thigh cut, which is, just a 360 thigh swivel, which is awesome. And I think that's how you're able to get him to use his fire accessory, or at least that's how I was able to do it. So there's that. Also, you get double jointed knees, always a good thing. And you get an ankle rocker, which, it's fine. And so got all kinds of movement down there at the ankle. No toe joint, surprisingly, but, whatever. And I think that's all the articulation you're going to get out of Fei Long.
All right, so according to the Street Fighter wiki, Fei Long stands at 5 foot 8 inches tall and weighs around 132 pounds. This figure stands at 6.25 inches tall and weighs around 3 ounces. So now let's see how he compares to some other figures you might have in your collection. All right, here he is next to NECA's Return to New York 4-pack Leonardo and Hasbro's Marvel Legends Wolverine. Here he is with NECA's 1987 animated series Raphael and NECA's knockoff Mirage Comics colored bandana Raphael figure. Here he is with Jazzware's Beef Boss and Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning Collection Blue Centurion. Here he is next to SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Rogue and Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified Crimson Bat. Here he is next to McFarlane's Shao Kahn and Storm Collectibles Sub-Zero. Here he is next to Soda's Street Fighter Guile and Balrog figures. Here he is with Figma's Zelda and Masters of the Universe Classics Merman. And here he is with SH Figuarts Ryu and Chun-Li figures. And here he is with some of the bigger figures from the Soda line of Street Fighter figures, Sagat and Thunderbird. Street Fighter 2 was huge. It was one of those cultural phenomenons that I'm so happy I was a part of and have fond, vivid memories of spending hours and hours and hours playing that game. And like if when we get to heaven and like we see all our stats, like how like when you pause the GTA games, like you see all the stats, like miles you walked and all this stuff, like, and if it says like hours spent playing video games and it ranks them, Street Fighter 2 and all of its variants are probably going to be like up in at least my top 3. Because I just like loved those games so much, and they had so much replayability, and Capcom just all of a sudden is like, hey, you know that thing that's awesome? Well, we remade it again, and it's better, faster, stronger, all those fun things. And you get 4 new characters that are playable, and one of them just happens to look and act and sound and does all the cool stuff that Bruce Lee did. So how about that? And I'm like, oh yeah, here's my money, take it now. Oh, and also, by the way, his leg catches on fire intentionally. Like, that's a thing he does. Like, you know that thing that Ryu and Ken do with their arms and their fist? He does it with his foot and his leg. So that's how we got Fei Long. And if I'm not mistaken, this is my first Jada Toys action figure, and I'm pretty happy with it. It looks and feels extremely nice, especially for a $20, $25 action figure. I absolutely love the pants with their texture and the shininess of them. And the likeness on this figure is so much closer to the actual character as opposed to the previous Fei Long we got from Soda. Now, granted, Soda was a company that put out Street Fighter action figures back in the early 2000s, and some of their figures don't really hold up very well, but the majority of them definitely do. And I'm very happy to say that Jada Toys did a great job making this not only a great figure on its own, but one that goes extremely well with the Soda line, as well as the SH Figuarts line that we got a couple of years ago and that apparently they're still putting out figures for. This figure is a ton of fun to pose, ton of fun to play with, and just looks really cool just standing there too. I did find, however, that while I was taking some of these action shots, that I hadn't actually thought about doing a defeat pose, like, because like in Street Fighter, like they would always have like the after the fight kind of like recap, and you see like your score, and you see your defeated opponent, or maybe you got defeated, and you're all beat up. That got me thinking about maybe trying to pose this figure as if he got kind of thrown around and beat up and like just like thrown aside, and he works really well with that. The way the articulation is on these figures, it really lends itself to some dynamic poses like that, and that's excellent. But as far as what we have here, though, my only minor nitpicks I have are the gumminess of the flame effect. It feels kind of weird, and I don't like it. It looks cool, and it's kind of weird how you have to get his leg to turn a certain way, or at least that's how I did it to make it look right. But then again, I mean, it's from a video game that, like, who knows if, I mean, I don't know. I don't study martial arts, so maybe like that's like a certain color belt where you can turn your legs into fire that I just have never seen, and maybe it's so rare that it actually works that way, where your leg breaks itself at the thigh and kind of goes the other way. And that way you can make that actually happen. I don't know. But as far as the action figure is concerned, it is kind of neat how they made it work to do that. But it feels a little weird too, like making his leg do that. But again, like I'm saying, it could just be that I'm just not used to posing a figure that way. But I like the creativity in getting that kind of pose and effect from the video game. But as much as I appreciate the accessory, the gumminess of it just feels very weird. And I'm a little hesitant to leave it on the actual figure because I don't want it to mess up the paint from the pants in case I don't want him doing that fire effect. But nevertheless, still really rad that they included it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the weirdness with the paint shading between the chest and the rest of the figure. Again, it's really just a minor nitpick, and yours might be different than mine because I'm not sure how they did the paint wash and the airbrushing or whatever they're doing to paint these figures. So it might be slightly different. However, I think I can use my own headcanon to justify it as either, like I mentioned, he normally has a shirt on, so his face is a little bit more darker than the rest of his body, or it's actually makeup. And I don't know. I kind of like that one a little bit more considering that he's an actor. So I'm going to go with that. My favorite thing, though, about this figure is that he looks amazing with the other Street Fighter lines of action figures that we got from Soda and SH Figuarts. I don't have the NECA ones, so I don't really know how he looks with those, but I don't remember them looking great with the other two lines either, so I don't imagine he would look great with them. But as far as Fei Long going with the SH Figuarts Street Fighter figures and the Soda Street Fighter figures, I think he looks fantastic. Having said all that, I think this is the best Fei Long figure we've got so far in any Street Fighter action figure line. So if you're a longtime fan of Fei Long and in need of replacing the old Soda figure like I did, I think you'll be very happy with this figure. If you need a figure that looks like a Bruce Lee knockoff character, then this will do the trick. Or if you just happen to have a hole in your action figure collection that you want to fill with a figure that's got super nice shiny pants, but kind of plain feet, then go pick up this Fei Long figure from Jada Toys. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments. Did you like this figure? Did you like this character? And what other characters do you want to see from this line? And until then, else time.